For it being summer, it was quite a crazy, no, busy, yes, awesome, pretty cool sports weekend. Astros finally have their offensive lineup back. Astros showing signs of life. We had the Argentina-Honduras friendly at Kyle Field, 91K. How awesome is that? Messi at Kyle Field. It was pretty cool. We had all the regional action where a lot of the Cinderellas turned to pumpkins, and we had some epic battles, and the Georgia-Mississippi State Super was drunk. They combined for the most home runs ever in a super regional round, super regional game, super regional series. It was fun. It was a great sports weekend. Very casual. It wasn't like a college football weekend, but it was fun. We'll begin. Not too long ago this morning, a Lubbock district judge granted a temporary injunction against the NCAA, and they ruled that Brendan Sorsby, Texas Tech quarterback, is eligible to play for the Red Raiders in 2026. He had been ruled ineligible at every single turn by the NCAA. Brendan Sorsby has gambled, and by every report, he's gambled like tens of thousands of times. He has an outright, bona fide, non-question, his guilt is not in doubt, mountains of evidence, gambling addiction problem. He bet on his own team when he was at Indiana as a member of the team. The ultimate of all. Like, after that, you can't come back. There's no hiding. When the NCAA was arguing this, they made it clear that in no sport at any level, high school, college, pro, Pee-wee league, has a player ever been allowed to compete after gambling on his own games. It's not a thing in the universe. When the judge ruled Sorsby eligible, he said that Sorsby, i.e. his team, demonstrated that he will suffer a probable, imminent, and irreparable injury if this court does not issue this temporary injunction. Well, yeah, that's called the punishment. That's the point. If you break the rules, you suffer an injury. It's the punishment. He violated a rule, and there's a consequence. The consequence, he doesn't get to finish his career. If he doesn't finish his career, he doesn't get his NIL. I mean, no joke. Of course he is. And the judge is saying that's unfair. If the consequence was that damaging and irreparable, then Sorsby shouldn't have gambled. Like, does that not make sense? Am I off on this one? Do I just see the world wrong nowadays? Of course it causes him irreparable injury, but that was his choice. Sorsby made that choice. It's not the job of the NCAA to go, it's okay. Kids will be kids, illegally gambling and influencing games. But no matter how severe their crime, we can't cause them injury. We can't harm their value. That's kind of just stupid as hell. Makes no sense. But that was the judge's ruling. But, the truth is, of course it causes him irreparable injury, but he caused himself, not the NCAA's ruling. That's what's kind of missing to me. And what the judge is saying is that Sorsby can do whatever he wants because, we can't hurt his future and even his now, because that's bad. Even though it's self-inflicted, it's all on him. You can't do anything to stop it. It's a very odd, I don't follow. Maybe it was my upbringing where my dad taught me, there's consequence. Maybe it was from when I was in the Marine Corps where we learned, responsibility, and definitely actions have consequences. I don't know. It just strikes me as Logic 101, Humanity 101. But the judge is saying, no, sure, he didn't follow the rules that everyone has to. Sure, he violated one of the most, gambling on your own team, but you can't punish him because that's bad for him. Then what's to stop him? What's the point of the rules? Anybody can do whatever they want, just long as you don't have a rule that causes them irreparable injury. Then what's the deterrence? How do you do governance? Then what's the point of having rules? If anyone can violate them because your rules would hurt them, then there's no consequence, there's no punishment. All these athletes now have the recourse to go to the courts. The courts all root for the athletes because they go to their local circuit, local district. That's how this works. Help me if I'm incorrect here. If I remember this story correctly, didn't the first judge excuse himself from the case because he was a Texas Tech alum and he knew he could not rule for Sorsby? Because Sorsby, if ever you were handed an open and shut case, it's Sorsby. The evidence is overwhelming, staggering. This guy has a problem. And part of Sorsby's defense, I'm not sure how much you've heard or read, and this is by his team, is that he's an addict. He needs help, not punishment. That's part of his defense. None of it is, it's not what it looks like. None of his defense is, this is all a mistake. Part of his defense is, we don't need him to lose games. That would hurt him. That's not his defense. Remember, the judge said, sure, he did it all. Sure, this could threaten the integrity of the game. Sure, this is how game fixing goes to, but we can't hurt it. He's going to lose out on his NIL money. It can hurt his draft stock. And we can't do that. You can't punish a kid like that. Huh? The kid punished himself. He took action. Action has consequence. And the judge says, no, he's allowed to be as stupid as he wants to. He can't be punished. I am struggling with the concepts being put forth. I understand sometimes it's not about right and wrong. I've lived in this world long enough that sometimes it has zero to do with right and wrong. It's who paid the most money to buy the decision or each individual's interpretation. But this one was a no-brainer. I don't even know why the judge needed to deliberate more than an hour. But in the end, no, you can't hold him accountable. Sure, he did it, but you can't hurt his future earnings. He made the decision. He should suffer the consequences. If he wanted to be an NFL quarterback, if he wanted to make his full NIL, follow the rules. And to me, it's obvious too. Don't they have every athlete at the start of every year? They have and I don't know the name of them, but people talk to them about gambling because it's such a no. It's like a hard no. It's not a maybe no. It's not a gray area no. It's not a debatable no. It's no. And you look at the level he participated in gambling, right? He didn't care. It strikes me that his mentality is that he was some backup quarterback at freaking Indiana, a nobody nothing program at the time. And he didn't think it mattered. There would ever be a consequence for it. And then he turned into somebody. And his past came back to haunt him. Cake and eat it too. So he didn't want any consequence. and he's going to get away with it? Because some local judge doesn't believe he should have to pay for his crimes, but the judge is supposed to be a part of the law enforcement system, but doesn't want to enforce the law. Fascinating. We talk about all the time. Okay, I talk about it a lot of the time. I don't know what you talk about all the time. Probably your kids, but still. Why things, college athletics, seem to be spiraling. Why they're so difficult. This is part of the why. The NCAA shoots itself in the foot, the hands, the face, all the time. The very few times the NCAA can do the simple stuff right, something like this, an outside force, just butchers it. Because this was a layup. This was something NCAA has denied him how many times now? Something so obvious, so simple, that nobody could screw it up. So the NCAA could get one of the few wins because it was that easy. And you've got a local Lubbock area district circuit judge who just... But this is what happens all the time. How did that Alabama basketball player get on the court in the first place before how many games went by before finally it resolved itself? I love college athletics. I love all of it. If I'd snap my fingers, every school would participate in 30 sports and every sport would have all the money in the world they want. I think college athletics are good for college age. I do believe in like the old Greek system where it's the body and the mind that should be educated throughout those years into a fully developed human that goes out into the world. That's the ultimate model of who you should be. So when I look at the transition, because that's what's happening, college athletics is transitioning extremely painfully into whatever it's going to be next. And it's painful because of economics, but moments like this, maybe before the college football season, it ends up right. Because where does this get appealed from here? Who's going to have the final authority? Once it goes to a judge who's not circuit, maybe it's a Texas on the capital level. So you get it out of Lubbock and then they're going to go, what the hell are we talking about? No, of course he's not eligible. And it goes away. Maybe you have to go to Washington, D.C., the capital step judge. And he's like, this is the dumbest thing I ever heard. Of course he's not eligible. But more money, more time will be wasted on this. On something that should never have an appeal to it. It's so straightforward. And all the time and energy and lawyers that'll be wasted on Sorsby's case could be used to fix other problems. But no, how much time will be wasted on this, though? That's the problem. Nothing. How much air, oxygen, energy is being wasted on getting a college football playoff for college football? How many delays, studies, committees for something as simple as a college football playoff? And maybe the answer that no one wants to admit is leave it at 12 for 10 years, shut up and enjoy. But, the processes are so painful. And if Sorsby ends up playing, it'll be an absolute travesty and mockery of college athletics if Sorsby plays even one game this upcoming season. Okay, I got that rant out of my system. I don't even know if I feel better, but it's just kind of like offensive to me. And it's very much an example of all that is wrong with the current system and processes. I'm sure that you might have a thought or two. Sharing is caring. Text 979-693-1150. You can light up the Texas Mobile and Loop Express inbox. I'll be right back. Maybe I need a moment. This is the Louie Bellina Show, presented by CC Electric, Monday on The Zone.
The Louie Bellina Show. Dial 979-693-1150.
Hello?
To visit with him. Hello. Or to win. Hello. On the D4 Land Services Hotline. Dial 979-693-1150.
Text messages are rolling in as you'd imagine. Okay, we have the Texas Mobile and Lube Express inbox. We also have my phone. And when people start texting my phone directly, boy, some nerves have been tapped. My phone, that guy should not be a judge. I agree. That text message, I have been blessed in my life. I think I read, and yeah, how do people know this? You know how these surveys go, right? But in life, if you have two best friends, like that's the norm. You have friends and you have acquaintances and you have work friends, right? But in your entire life, if you have, and I mean, you got to understand, best friends, ride or die, the people that you will truly tell your darkest secrets to, the people that when you sit there, you 100%, you don't filter, you don't think. I mean, best friends. Like 2 is all we get in life. I've had 4. I'm a blessed human. And the very first one in my life was named Louie. Until today, we still get to keep in touch. He lives here in town. Wife, I think he has 17 kids and 29 grandchildren or something like that. Amazing person. So he texted me on my phone. That's how I know it's serious. If he's texting me on the phone, because he'll text the Texas Mobile and Lube Express inbox. When it goes to the phone, he's pissed. More text messages, but these are from the Texas Mobile and Lube Express inbox. Texas versus West Virginia College World Series final. I will get Mitch's opinion on that. That judge up there, yeah, I got to effectively agree with the statement. That judge up there is what's wrong with everything in the world today. I can't argue that. You know, I don't know a single detail about it, but it makes me paint a picture of who they are, their generation. They grew up with their belief system. Because this has nothing to do with legal. That statement and that decision has nothing to do with legal. That's not about justice. It's not about the law. It's about what they believe. And that's not, okay, Louie Bellina belief system. That's not what we go to the courts for. I don't give a bleep what the judge believes. You go for justice. You want the law to be enforced. And that's not what the decision was. It's what they believe. And that's angering. Now, this one's interesting. And Kayla, I 1,000,000% agree with you. I've made statements like this. People have told me to shut up because I don't have kids, so I can't say this. Kayla from College Station could say this. Let me read her text message. The problem is that we don't have consequences for children, and then later they don't understand that there is consequences for your actions. Kayla, I'm reading her words. This is her words. As a 5th grade teacher, I see this all the time, and it is so irritating. I'm not sure why we're afraid of giving children consequences. Kayla, I stand with you. I see it all the time. That children have no consequences whatsoever. Their parents are scared to let them fail. The parents do everything for them. The parents shield them from having, I don't want to see my child go through that pain of failing, and fix everything and do everything for them and hide them from the truth. So the child, I work here at Bryan Broadcasting. I'm not just Louie Bellina, the talk show host. I am also the program director. And my entire staff, not true right now, but I've been managing, even before I was the program director, even before the Louie Bellina Show, I've been running hiring called board ops, the people that work here. And they've been 18 to 22 for 27 years, 28 years I've been doing this. I've been in that position. That's how long. My staff has stayed the same age. So I've seen it all. I've seen generations. And generally, I'm their first or second job. And it's never stopped amazing me how their parents have them generally zero prepared to work in the world, to be a part of the world whatsoever. And it wasn't always like that, the evolution of this. And then each generation then compounds it for the next. It has been a fascinating study by me. Because remember, my entire work staff has been the same age forever. They've never changed. No, that's not every kid. That is just the vast, 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 vast majority of them. And it's the parents. They don't prep them. And it is about consequence. Kids don't face consequence anymore. I grew up differently, I guess. Consequence was real. Consequence was fairly immediate. So I understood that word. And this judge, to me, strikes me very obviously as someone who doesn't. How can you be a judge and you don't believe in consequence? That's just the weirdest thing. Thank you, Kayla. Thank you very much. Again, she says, as a fifth grade teacher, I see this all the time. She even capitalized all the time, those three words. And she said it's irritating. 979-693-1150. Hey, Kayla, you're listening lunchtime. Does that mean you're out of school right now? 979-693-1150. Now, we're not going to talk Sorsby all day. But this ruling is just so horrifically bad. And it crosses over so many. What's wrong with NCAA? Maybe what's wrong with the world. It could transcend that. What does it mean for college football? Sorsby plays Texas Tech as a lock for the college football playoff. What are they going to do in the college football playoff? Well, we'll have to see how good Sorsby really is. I know he started early in the transfer portal as the number one quarterback. That shifted. Maybe he was 3 or 4. If you looked at Texas Tech's team last year, the only thing they were missing for making a run was a quarterback. Let's see. Sorsby will be suspended for the first 2 games. That'll give him plenty of time to get his bets in on time. So, anyway, if Sorsby is one of the top 3 transfer quarterbacks, Texas Tech will make a run in the college football playoff. The problem I see, they play in a league that doesn't prepare them for the college football playoff. You saw what happened to UCLA baseball, right? There will not be a single Big Ten team in the college baseball World Series because playing 2 to 3 series max over 3 months, because that's what happened to USC, man. As the Aggies saw in the regional, they beat North Carolina in the first game. And NC took games 2 and 3. But I'm just telling you, there's something to the concept of not having your league prepare you. I don't think Big Ten baseball can prepare Big Ten teams for the postseason. Now, they did get 3, and it was their top 3 all into the supers, and that's good. And USC won game 1. The number 1 overall did not even make it to the regional final in UCLA. Oregon got swept by Texas in the super. And I wonder if Texas Tech will suffer the fate of playing in a league. But once you get past the first game, you're ready. But Texas Tech is now a lock for the college football playoff. If Sorsby actually, because there's got to be more appeals. This cannot be the final word. Because remember with the Alabama basketball player? There was about 4 or 5 court rulings, judgment rulings, before he finally was done. So this can't be the final word. Let's grab a timeout. We'll come back. Hey, raise your hand if you want to talk some Aggie football, because that's what's next on the Louie Bellina Show, presented by CC Electric. They have military and veteran discounts. They do free estimates. They're CC Electric.
Your home for the Houston Astros is Sports Radio 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. The Zone.
FedEx Sam said it's officially turned into the Wild Wild West. Point shaving and payments to fake injuries are next to come. FedEx Sam, and that's the most extreme example. But if the judge's justification is it'll cause them irreparable harm by punishing them, yes. if you point shaved, you'd be banned for life. The rule says if you gamble on your own team, well, you're banned too. Well, why would it? There's no difference. That judge's logic, the ruling, applies to point shaving and payments to fake injuries. It really does. Because anything that would ban you for life would cause you irreparable harm. So, therefore, the rules don't apply. It is pretty straightforward. I don't think I'm misinterpreting anything whatsoever. Jim, that judge should let me bet online here in Texas. Nice one, but I'm going to be fair with you here. No. Gambling is not for the weak. Gambling, I still enjoy gambling. I used to gamble a lot more. I've went through all the different forms of gambling. I used to bet, games, played in the World Series of Poker, played house poker. I've been through it all. I will just say gambling is not for the weak. I do believe that we should have the right to decide if we wish to gamble. I shudder to think how much money the state of Texas would make if we had legalized gambling, as opposed to Texans having to go to Oklahoma and Louisiana. Oh, you bring a smile to my face with that one, Jim. I miss being able to just, a night or a weekend and, just go hit the tables. One last text message. It's Karen again. And I asked the question. She said, yes, with 3 whole exclamation marks. So she's excited. Yes, it's summer. I asked her if she was on summer break. She's a 5th grade teacher. It's the parents and the system. Schools are legit afraid to give consequences because the district and then the state will decide we're being too harsh on kids. But if we don't, then life will. Thank you for getting back to me, Karen. Wanted to share something. And this is CBS Sports decided to look at returning starters and production returning. And it's something that happens every offseason. But they did it in a very smart way. And I've talked about how I think it's outdated. And I don't want to look at, share, or even think about anyone that does this without taking transfers into account. Guess what CBSSports.com did? They took transfers into account. Starting experience, number of snaps. So this is as absolute and complete as I believe you can do because it takes into account the modern reality. So when they talk about total snaps, transfer snaps count. When they take into account starts, transfers do too. The only criticism or question mark I have is I don't know if P4 and G6 snaps should count equal, but that's analysis for a different day. Fair enough? And one of A&M's problems was experience and production lost from last year, an 11-win college football playoff team. And if you paid close attention, not just to the star rating, where were they on the Athletic, CBS, Athlon, Jimmy Ray Bob's site, on their list of top 25, top 100. But if you actually looked at what Elko did, he targeted experience. He went after people in the portal that played, that had snaps, that had experience, because he knew what he lost. Now, experience together, well, we live in a modern college football world that there's so much turnover and there's so much portal action. I don't know, but I know that it's been lessened. That experience together just isn't what it used to be because the turnover, nothing like it used to be. In the old days of football, when we watched it in black and white, everybody had one bar in their helmet, and we loved it. It used to be for every freshman you started, you'd lose a game. And all freshmen redshirted, but yet somehow one would start. Whatever. But still, I feel like the CBS Sports one, because of how they updated for modern reality, is really good. What if I told you Texas A&M is 7th? In what, Lou? Everything. When you take into account everything, A&M is 7th in returning total snaps on the team, 7th overall. Starts, 7th overall. With everything A&M lost, and A&M lost a lot. Their front seven, D, totally decimated. 4 offensive linemen who are all going to start in the NFL at some point, I predict, lost, gone. Alavion Moss, who ended up having to retire, man, that one breaks my heart, by the way. Gone. KC Concepcion, first-round NFL wide receiver, gone. I mean, A&M lost, if you stop for a second, a record, 10 players to the draft alone? Yet. And that was the Elko get players, but they targeted all, oh boy, I hope I have all my numbers right, and I never do. But all 4 of the offensive linemen they brought in started in the SEC. They weren't just SEC offensive linemen, started. They had snaps. They had experience. So A&M, and this is ranking every D1 team, 7. 7 in snaps, 7 in starts. And the way it breaks down is the offense is 16th in the country, and the defense is 6th. 6th. And when you just add it up, pretty simple. And got to understand how thorough this is. I told you snaps. I told you starts. When you count up the total of games played on the roster, A&M is 7th. So A&M's overall rank, snaps, games, starts, their offense rank, defense rank. When you just do the total number in the end, A&M is 7th in the country. I've always thought we've got meta stats, we've got micro stats, and some of the most basic are still actually the best indicators, predictors of success, right? Simplify, simplify, simplify. And returning production was always a great predictor, but yet the equation has changed. And to see someone update it, I'm going to be fascinated to see how this holds. CBSSports.com says 7. All the preseason rankings, minus the Athletic, has A&M about 8 to start the year. There's this consistent picture being painted of what A&M football is to start the year. Once the year starts, this player didn't develop. These 3 players are having a breakout year. This player's worse than you thought. This player's better than you started. Your team had more injuries than you expected. Your player had the healthiest year yet. We know that each year is its own living organism, animal. Oh, everything you thought for 6 months was garbage in a good or bad way. I love college football. Sports are the greatest reality show on TV because it's still unscripted. You try and control it and it's chaos unleashed. God, I love college football. But that 7 number, it's so consistent. But I don't know the picture being painted, the expectation, the projection level. Because I think A&M, again, will be consensus right at 8 to start the year. I think I was listening to Texags Live this morning. It was a long weekend, folks. You know I'm not here on Fridays in June and July, and I wasn't here. So a 3-day weekend, whoo! It was a long weekend. And they were talking about teams that have the hype meter behind them. I forget where they saw that. Pretty cool stuff. I love that stuff. A&M's not on the list, but it's not a negative to A&M. A&M is expected to be preseason top 10. A&M is expected to contend for a college football spot. And when you get these teams that are on the preseason hype list, they're just usually shiny and new. Sometimes it's one of the old dogs that didn't win the national championship last year. And then Texas with the preseason Heisman. Of course, LSU, because Lane Kiffin makes headlines. I don't think that's an insult to A&M. They're a safe, comfortable, easy preseason top 10. And then, again, think about the consistency of that. They're 7th overall, 7th in starts, 7th in games, 7th overall. We're going to dig deeper into this kind of throughout the week. There's so many categories and numbers, and I don't want to drown you to death. Here's what I'll leave you with on the overall rankings. Sneakily, Auburn's 9. Auburn's defense has been top 10 for 3 years while their offense flailed away. And allegedly one of the top 4 quarterbacks in the SEC is there this year. LSU is 13th. And remember, they brought in like 47, 48 new players. But they brought in experience with them. And I bring up these names because, we're seeing them predicted to break out, them predicted to do X and Y. These are the inside. If it happens, these are the Ys. This is how it happened. But Auburn is 9. LSU is 13. Texas 20, Oklahoma 21, Tennessee 23, Florida 26. These are teams that A&M will see once the season gets underway. So kind of thought interesting seeing them pop up in the top 25 out of 136 now. So you saw what Auburn did in the portal. See what LSU did in the portal too. When we return, we got to wrap up our first hour together. You're listening to Thank You for Hanging Out with the Louie Bellina Show on a Monday. The Louie Bellina Show presented by CC Electric on the Zone.
You're listening to Aggieland's home for Aggie baseball, the Astros, the Bombers, and more. The Zone. 1150 AM and 93.7 FM.
The Louie Bellina Show, where, we happen to be big fans of food. I know you're like, what? No. We love food. We do talk ice cream, barbecue, and beer on the Louie Bellina Show throughout the week and weeks, the months here on the Louie Bellina Show. And Tony Catalina, gig him 247. Consider him a friend. I'm concerned for him. He'll be with us Wednesday. We'll have another Blue Bell ice cream review. He tries a pint a week, and we talk about it. But over the weekend, he put out one of the scariest tweets I've seen. And it's not because I agree or disagree, but just why, Tony, why? And I think he put it out Friday. Maybe it was Saturday. Time blurs sometimes. And he said, I've lived in Texas for almost 2 years now, and I feel qualified to say, mistakes were made. In-N-Out burger, In-N-Out is better than Whataburger. There was responses. There was article written. I think there's an investigation going on with this thing. And, I love Tony. He's a good dude. But that's a bold statement, Cotton. I've lived in Texas for almost 2 years now and feel qualified to say In-N-Out is better than Whataburger. And I've had both, right? And the thing that kills me about this is, which version of Whataburger are we talking about is always the fascinating question. Everyone, I think, acknowledges that Whataburger has changed. Whataburger is not what it used to be whatsoever. Whataburger at one point was the greatest in the country, and I didn't think there was a second place. But Whataburger got bought private equity or something, and the first thing they did is cut all their quality across the board. Even their spicy ketchup isn't as good as their spicy ketchup used to be. In-N-Out burger, here's going to be my statement. If you have In-N-Out burger in Texas, it has never lived up to In-N-Out burger in California. They're not the same In-N-Out burger. In-N-Out burger in Texas doesn't beat a hamburger at Whataburger at all. In-N-Out burger in California would destroy a Whataburger in Texas. The current version. Whataburger in their prime was undefeated. Whataburger in their prime was the ultimate fast food hamburger. But that's not Whataburger now. In-N-Out burger in Texas, I don't know why. I can't explain it. Maybe it's in my head and imagination. I used to love the Whataburger taquitos for breakfast in the morning. I hadn't had one in a year at least, if not 2 years. And 2 weeks ago, I tried it. It was so offensive to me. Instead of shredded cheese, they put one slice and they didn't even melt it. That was just such a joke. Whataburger's not what it used to be. But In-N-Out burger in Texas, I haven't been to one that, lives up to the standard of, having it in the state of California. And I know even In-N-Out burger, what their offices left the state of California too. So I don't know how many people are qualified have even had both, but for Tony to put that out there publicly, think 2 years you're qualified now. That's a bold statement. But then inviting the world in on that commentary, that was bold, Cotton. That was bold. So when Tony joins me on Wednesday, I need to ask him for feedback on that too. I'll also tell you this on the universe of food. TripAdvisor put out their top best restaurants in College Station. Don't know if you've seen that too. And it is the worst list of restaurants to eat in town I have ever seen. And I've been in this town since 1987.
The flagship station for Aggie Athletics is The Zone. Whenever the Aggies are playing, you can hear them right here at 1150 and 93.7. Thanks to our Aggie broadcast sponsors who make it happen. Amarillo National Bank, locally owned, family strong, and here to stay. Schulte Roofing, home of the bulletproof roof guarantee. And Rudy's Barbecue, real Texas barbecue. Listen to the games on The Zone 1150 and 93.7 FM.